This person that bullied me and eat me up. And the truth is, I've been in the hospital. And the people want me to go back to the hospital, but I don't want to go back. I love drama. So, okay, well, what's the drama? What's the drama that I did? Somebody gotta tell me. What is the drama? Tell me, what is the drama? What is the drama? All I know is I went to bed and I woke up and my life changed. And I probably shouldn't have said nothing, but I panicked because I was scared and I was alone and I was in pain.
Atlanta has always been the city where gossip sparks turn into 5-alarm blazes. But even this drama-soaked town wasn't prepared for the digital storm that exploded overnight. When Tamar Braxton dropped just 7 words, "I woke up in a pool of blood," time froze. That one chilling confession, paired with a single blurry hospital snap, detonated timelines everywhere. Her face was swollen, her nose shattered, teeth gone, and her body wrecked. Tamar Braxton said she nearly lost her life. For a brief second, it felt like unfiltered tragedy. A cherished singer, reality star, an Emmy winner dangling between survival and collapse. But in Atlanta, tragedy never gets to stay pure. Sympathy here has an ugly habit. It morphs into doubt. Doubt hardens into finger-pointing. And before long, one woman's nightmare morphs into clickbait gold. Enter Funky Dineva, the commentator with a blade for a tongue and not a shred of hesitation. Once he chimed in, everything curdled. He didn't clock a victim. He clocked a stunt. He saw a rollout. And when he labeled it exactly that, Tamar Braxton's agony smashed headfirst into his platform, spiraling into a circus that reeked of defamation. From the jump, her story was devastating and confusing. Tamar Braxton insisted she went to bed, only to be discovered hours later by a friend, lying in her own blood. She admitted at one point she'd even been abandoned in that terrifying condition. Doctors later confirmed she'd lost teeth, fractured her nose, and carried bruises that screamed violence. She remained hospitalized for days as specialists tracked her fragile recovery. And in her most vulnerable moment, she admitted her regret. "I probably shouldn't have said nothing," she confessed. "But I was scared. I was alone, and I was in pain." For her, that post was nothing but a desperate cry for help. But for the public and for Funky Dineva, it looked like the opening act of a much bigger spectacle.
I tell you that birthday party I paid for. So if I was a shitty friend, so why what rollout? It was a coincidence. I didn't go to bed and wake up and my life changed.
That wasn't the silence of a victim. That was betrayal. And he cranked it up by leaking their private messages, where he'd checked in on her and she replied vaguely yet refused to defend him when the heat rose. The feud snowballed. Tamar Braxton dropped sermons about toxic souls and cryptic captions aimed at invisible enemies. Funky Dineva fired back with birthday receipts, blasting her for lying about footing the bill for his party. He branded her a manipulator, someone staging photo ops just to look like a savior. Blogs ate it up. Fans dissected every screenshot. Then came the viciousness. Memes mocking her shattered smile. Hashtags turning her bloodied face into a cruel punchline. At that point, this wasn't shade.it was public humiliation. She tried clawing her dignity back. "I might have teeth, but I can't chew. Do you know how that feels?" Her words were raw, but the internet only sharpened its knives. Each insult climbed higher, and so did the stakes. Tamar Braxton swore that if anyone dared call her a liar again, it wouldn't end online, it would end in court. She even posted receipts from that night dinner tabs, hospital paperwork. "Enough is enough," she pleaded. "Please leave me alone." But in the same breath, Funky Dineva dropped his own rules. If she posted subliminals, hinted at him, or tossed shade of any kind, he'd clap back publicly, viciously, mercilessly, and so Instagram became the witness stand. YouTube transformed into the judge's bench. Blogs crowned themselves jury, while fans played lawyers split between defending Tamar's honor and amplifying Funky's accusations. Everyone claimed they wanted peace, yet neither side stopped posting. Neither side stopped feeding the inferno. With each post, the word defamation grew heavier, sharper, more inevitable. This wasn't about feelings anymore, it was survival. Tamar Braxton knew if the world believed she staged her accident, her survivor legacy would collapse into the title of manipulator. Funky Dineva knew if she dragged him to court, he'd have to prove every word. She would become evidence. Commentary would have to stand as defense. Followers wouldn't matter, facts would. And so here they stand. Tamar Braxton vowing to silence liars. Funky Dineva daring her to try. The internet clings to every click, every unfollow, every live. What began as a bloody photo has now detonated into an all-out war for reputations, ones that won't rest until a real gavel slams inside a courtroom. And if that day ever arrives, this won't be filed away as just another messy feud. It'll be the showdown that decides whether this was tragedy, a PR stunt, or the ugliest defamation war Atlanta has ever witnessed. Already, the internet mocked her with memes dubbing her a toothless muppet and endless pool of blood jokes. The second Tamar Braxton uttered the word defamation, it felt like a line permanently etched in the sand. But Funky Dineva, he's not built to retreat. While Tamar Braxton wept publicly, he sharpened his rebuttal. He accused her of hiding behind subliminals, crying victim while letting him be torn apart by fans and blogs. To him, her silence when conspiracy theories first swirled was louder than any denial. He argued she knew the internet was accusing him of causing her accident, yet instead of clearing his name, she let the mob crucify him. To prove it, he leaked private texts. Tamar Braxton instantly clapped back at messy comments but gave vague, delayed answers whenever he asked directly. To him, that wasn't friendship. That was betrayal broadcast in neon lights. And so he laid down his infamous commandments. No subliminals, no shady sermons, no scripture dressed as shade. If she even hinted, he vowed he'd clap back loud, brutal, every single time. This wasn't just a warning. It was a contract written in chaos. But Tamar Braxton, whether fueled by pride or pure defiance, refused to play by his rules. Instead,
I don't do drugs, but people do drugs. I don't do drugs of any kind. I don't do cocaine. You should ask people if they do cocaine. I don't do cocaine. I've never done it in my life. So Mendices did the video because I want him to tell his own story. You know, I don't really like telling people's story. You should ask Mendices. And that's not my man. We're not together. And never have. But it is my friend. But y'all know, boys are always my friends.
She doubled down with more captions about cutting off toxic energy, sermon clips about enemies used by God, and fresh hospital photos to remind fans of her suffering. To her, it was self-expression. To Funky Dineva, it was pure shade, and every time, he honored his vow, dragging her name before the same crowd she was begging for compassion. The seats became weapons. Tamar Braxton even dropped receipts from Ruth's Chris and B12, swearing she wasn't fabricating anything. Next time I'm called a liar, it will come with a lawsuit, she warned. But Funky Dineva fired back instantly. He mocked her claim about paying for his birthday bash, showing proof it was her event, not his. You didn't pay anything. For me, he snapped, painting her as thirsty for credit she didn't earn. And when Tamar Braxton swore she was bedridden, he countered with cruel sarcasm, her face allegedly crumbling one day, only for her to pop up glammed in videos the next. If that's true, he mocked, then I'm Britney Spears. This wasn't shade anymore, it was mutual character assassination. Tamar Braxton accused him of bullying, mocking her trauma, and defaming her name. Funky Dineva accused her of scheming, letting conspiracies cook while he burned, lying about bills, and exaggerating who truly suffered. Every caption, every meme, every hashtag became evidence in a courtroom without walls. Fans weren't just spectators, they were prosecutors. Lines were drawn. Hashtag Team Mount Amar flooding feeds with emotional support. Hashtag Team Funky flooding timelines with memes and receipts. The jury wasn't 12 strangers behind a bench. It was millions of strangers with Wi-Fi, delivering judgment in real time. And yet beneath all the venom, the irony was thick. Both claimed they wanted silence. Tamar Braxton begged, "Please leave me alone, please." Funky Dineva demanded the same, no subliminals. But neither could stop. Neither could resist hitting post, clapping back, proving their truth. The cycle spun on, brutal and public. What made the fallout nastier was intimacy. This wasn't just celebrities trading blows. These were ex-friends. They'd shared late nights, birthdays, inside jokes. Funky Dineva reminded the world he paid his own way, that he never wanted anyone thinking he used her. Tamar Braxton reminded fans she once celebrated him, defended him, called him family. The betrayal wasn't abstract, it was personal. And personal betrayal mutated into public spectacle, a circus no PR machine could cage. The internet courtroom only grew uglier. Fans zoomed in on Tamar Braxton's face, questioning implants, measuring swelling, checking if her injuries matched the timeline. Others side-eyed Funky Dineva's messy past, asking if his obsession with content outweighed compassion. Every post became an exhibit. Tamar Braxton's toothless Muppet clapback proved she'd been wounded but wasn't backing down. Funky Dineva's rules of engagement manifesto showed he refused to let her narrative go unchecked. Both claimed righteousness. Both looked messy, and looming above it all was that heavy word, defamation. Tamar Braxton didn't use it lightly. She warned that if the mockery continued, lawyers would log in. She had hospital files, procedure notes, doctor statements, enough ammo to walk into a courtroom. But Funky Dineva wasn't rattled. His platform thrives on shade. To him, this was just another feud, except this feud had a legal shadow hanging over it. By the end of this round, nothing was settled. Tamar Braxton doubled down on her role as both accident survivor and target of digital cruelty. Funky Dineva doubled down on being the truth teller, the unfairly scapegoated one. Receipts littered. Timelines like shattered glass, sharp enough to wound, but never sharp enough to end the war. And one question echoed: who would blink first? Because when subliminals morph into affidavits, when lives turn into depositions, when captions become evidence, the drama stops being messy fun. It becomes legal precedent. Tamar Braxton wasn't just warning Funky Dineva. She was warning the entire machine of gossip and shade. If she actually followed through, then every blogger, every commentator, every fan who reposted her bloody photo with laughing emojis could suddenly feel the sting of defamation law. The war between Tamar and Funky wasn't cooling. It was detonating. And the next round wouldn't unfold on Instagram. It would play out in court, where shade doesn't trend, it testifies. Already mocked as a faker, already clowned with toothless Muppet memes, Tamar Braxton stood on the cliff of a battle no sympathy could cushion. To Funky Dineva, her silence was damning. She had her phone. She was posting stories, answering texts, scrolling online with ease, yet she never cleared his name. When conspiracies painted him the villain, why, he asked, would she really let lies grow unless they served her? In his eyes, she wasn't a victim. She was complicit, and every time he spoke, the crowd leaned closer, dissecting every word like evidence in a case file. The fight wasn't about what truly happened the night Tamar Braxton woke up in a pool of blood. It was about who owned the narrative. She leaned on sympathy and hospital receipts. He leaned on logic and ruthless exposure. She threatened lawsuits. He snapped back, do it. And the internet, starving for fire, turned every post into a headline and every caption into a verdict. The cruelest irony? Both sides swore they wanted silence. Tamar Braxton begged, please leave me alone, please. Funky Dineva demanded, no subliminals. Yet neither one stopped. She kept posting cryptic captions, sermon clips, hospital photos. He kept dropping videos, dissecting her every move. With each upload, the cycle spun tighter, and the shadow of a real lawsuit crept closer. But lawsuits aren't just about law, they're about exposure. If Tamar Braxton truly filed, she'd open the floodgates of discovery, dragging her private texts, medical files, and sealed contracts into the courtroom. At the same time, she could demand Funky Dineva's receipts, messages, and motives. The court wouldn't just see a feud, it would see everything. And for celebrities, that kind of spotlight is nightmare fuel. Still, Tamar Braxton's resolve never cracked. Mocked, bullied, branded a liar, her face turned into a punchline, yet her voice, though trembling on live, stayed steady. The next time I'm called a liar, it will come with a lawsuit. Meanwhile, Funky Dineva dove deeper into the chaos. He mocked her bloody confession, spun it into punchlines, and wielded her silence as evidence of guilt. He reminded everyone he never needed her, never begged favors, never fed off her fame. His clapbacks weren't petty, they were armor. For him, this wasn't cruelty, it was survival. And if the next stage was a courtroom, Funky Dineva was ready to perform there too. Fans became the loudest jury alive. Comment sections turned into cross-exams. Tweets morphed into testimony. YouTubers acted like expert witnesses, breaking down Tamar Braxton's injuries and Funky Dineva's tone. Some swore her accident was real but botched in rollout. Others argued his commentary went from edgy to cruel. Both reputations bled. Neither surrendered. That's the core of this saga. Too people to proud, too wounded, too stubborn to step back. Tamar Braxton fighting for dignity. Funky Dineva fighting for credibility. Both swearing they wanted peace. Both throwing gasoline on the fire. And hovering over it all one heavy word: defamation. If Tamar Braxton files, the case won't just be celebrity drama. It'll be precedent. Survivor versus Shade King. Reality star versus commentator. The battle that could decide whether gossip is just harmless entertainment or a weapon sharp enough to ruin lives, or a $1 million liability. If Funky Dineva wins, he crowns himself untouchable, the man who called her bluff and walked away unscathed. If Tamar Braxton wins, she resurrects her reputation and proves she wasn't just the victim of an accident, but of a smear campaign. But until the gavel drops, the war keeps raging through captions, lives, and YouTube videos. The court of public opinion has already split, hashtags rising like chants from rival juries. Yet the real courtroom, the one with judges and jurors, hasn't spoken. Not yet. And that's the danger. Because Tamar Braxton isn't just threatening Funky Dineva, she's threatening the whole gossip machine. Call her a liar, and you could be next. Meanwhile, Funky Dineva fires back with his own industry-wide PSA to every celebrity, every star who drags the world into their chaos: don't expect silence. If you post it, it gets dissected. If you spin it, it gets exposed. So here they stand. Tamar Braxton, armed with hospital records and courtroom threats. Funky Dineva, armed with receipts and a tongue sharp enough to slice steel. The fans, the blogs, the industry all watching, popcorn in hand. Who blinks first? Who breaks? Who ends up sworn in under oath? One thing's clear. This isn't just a feud anymore. It's a battle that could rewrite the rule book of celebrity drama. Tamar Braxton says she's ready to fight. Funky Dineva says he's not afraid. And the internet waits for the gavel to fall, because if she files, this won't be love and hip-hop energy. This will be law and order.